The gentlelady from California, Ms. Lofgren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Given the appearance of political influence exhibited by this administration and the AG, and based on the testimonies presented to us, I'm concerned about the integrity of our elections. In February, the Attorney General issued a memo outlining restrictions and policies for campaign-related investigations. I'd like to make a copy of that memo available in the record. Now, in part, the memo requires that no investigation may be opened or initiated of a declared candidate for president or vice president, et cetera, absent written approval of the Attorney General. This is a departure from previous campaign investigation protocol. And having heard from witnesses today about the significant political influence affecting the Department of Justice, this at the very least raises the specter that decisions to investigate presidential campaigns could be politically motivated. Mr. Iyer, does the appearance of political influence over investigations into presidential campaigns raised by this memo concern you?
It does, and it's one of a number of things that does. Obviously, the election is upcoming, and it's a hugely important phase of our national life. And so the idea that we're not going to be handling possible investigations relating to the election, we're not going to be handling them in the ordinary course by even-handed professionals who are trained to do it, but we're going to have them handled in some special way, which I don't think we really know quite what it is. We know that it's a cadre of people that Mr. Barr has sort of set aside and said they'll handle this. This is only one of a number of areas where he has done this, and we know of some. I'm afraid there are others we don't, where whenever there's something sensitive, it essentially gets turned over to somebody that he can trust as opposed to someone who's a professional, trained, and even-handed in their handling of it.
Thank you very much. You know, I want to talk about concerns that the Attorney General is abusing power in a way that is quite real to Californians. As we know, the Supreme Court has held that due to their stake in protecting their quasi-sovereign interests, states have the authority to set regulations governing greenhouse gases. That's the Massachusetts versus EPA case from 2007. Now, California has applied for and received more than 100 clean air waivers over the past 50 years. None have been revoked. And as a result, the average car sold nationwide is more than 99% cleaner than a car from the 1970s. Now, as we know, the Trump administration has attempted to curtail Californians' action, and following that, car makers in California worked together to come up with emissions that would work for California. This is important. This isn't just arcane stuff. I mean, in the Central Valley of California, we have the highest asthma rate among children in the United States, and a lot of that is because of emissions on I-5 and I-90 and Highway 99. So when I saw this, the antitrust announcement, I thought he's just trying to scare these automakers, to let them know that they're going to have to spend a lot of money if they deal with California as the law permits them to do. Mr. Elias, the investigation initiated, was there any legitimate antitrust concern, or was it simply an effort by the administration to muscle the auto companies into not dealing with the state of California?
So as I pointed out, the coincidence in time with the opening of the investigation was the day after the Trump tweets. I think staff had looked through some public resources, public laws, to see whether it might be permissible or not. And that kind of thing we do all the time and don't proceed to a formal, full investigation. So to answer your question, no, I don't believe there was a proper basis to actually go forward with a formal investigation.
Well, it looked to me that the department announced these investigations in really a bad faith manner after the president publicly threatened these companies for disagreeing with his own policies. This matters. It matters not in an arcane way or in an academic way. It matters to the lungs of the children of the state of California. And I think it's a direct example of how misconduct and political corruption in the Department of Justice has a direct adverse impact on the people of America, and most specifically, in this case, the people of California. I just like to note that I too was around during the Watergate matter, and I see some parallels, but actually this is worse than Watergate, worse than Nixon. I see my time is up, Mr. Chairman, so I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.
Great senators. Hi, Chuck. He used to love me when I was a Democrat, you know.